I have a question.
Yes.
Because I hear our little patient outside the door. Should I show our cat?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. You can tell what happened the last. I'll grab her.
I think they
knows,
know. We posted about this, but we were actually recording. Was it this episode? No, the one before. Yeah, we were recording the episode before, and we had to stop in the middle because our cat started puking, and it was another time during the same day. We went to the vet, and they said that we have to go to the clinic, to the cat hospital. And yeah, she had a surgery. Here she is. Her name is Iskra.
Pull the mic to me, so I can see. She's Iskra, but she's doing well. She doesn't like being held, so I'm not gonna hold her for too long. Like, she likes being cuddled, but she doesn't like being physically restrained.
Yeah, she doesn't like to be on hands.
Yeah, but she's like you can see, she's doing amazing. She's mostly glad to be out of her cat shirt that she had to wear so that she wouldn't lick herself. But she's doing great.
And she has a big scar here in the middle of her stomach.
I can show you the stomach, but if you're sensitive, then look away. But it really isn't anything. But it's just her tummy is like that, so you can see that it's shaved. But the hair is already growing back, and she's already happy. She was really also, to be honest, she was happy the second that she was out of the cat shirt. Because you've probably seen, even if you don't have a cat, you've probably seen these videos like someone puts some tape on the side of the cats or something, and they keep falling
fall over.
Yeah, because she thinks she's being restricted, so she just kept falling over all the time. But now she's doing okay, and she's healthy again. So thank you for all the good wishes. It was really sweet how you all took interest into how she's doing. Hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm Veronica.
And I'm Valdemar.
And today we finally learn more about Flamboyant Murat. And maybe we will learn exactly how flamboyant he was. Maybe we will answer the biggest question of this channel, which is exactly how flamboyant Murat
Definitely
was.
The biggest question of the series.
Yes, it is. It is very much so. And I am so pumped that he's in the series, even though he broke our hearts. But this was a journey, and I want to take this journey again. There are some other marshals mentioned in this video.
Yeah, but this one...
But there's also
this is the one that matters.
Yeah.
Like the rest, basically after this we can stop with this series.
No, we cannot.
But because this is the one that matters.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't even have anything else to say. Oh, Oudinot I also know really pretty well from there. But yeah, no. I don't even have any other context to add. I just want to find out what Murat is all about, and this is a very long video anyway, so I think we can just start. Unless you have something to say.
And this video is only for marshals, so we are having
getting
one less than before. So for marshals, half an hour video. So
yes.
I think we will learn a lot.
Yep, about
details.
Murat flamboyancy.
And guys, again, the next Belisarius is coming, so
on the membership,
don't worry.
And please, if you...
And we are nearing the end because it's
yes, exactly. So if you want to join the membership, if you are part of our members, then please already start thinking about what we're watching next for the membership and also for this channel. And if you haven't joined our membership because there was nothing that you found interesting, even though there's a lot of videos and it's just $1.99, so I mean, you have very high standards. But if you haven't found anything that you find interesting, you can let us know what you would join the series for, and we consider it.
Also, I very much want to... What?
I was still speaking.
You're always speaking.
I just wanted to say... Well, yeah, this is a reaction channel, so I am... Oh my god. I am always speaking. So I wanted to say, please let us know what you would like to watch on the membership, what would convince you to join as well. And maybe if a lot of people want to see that, we will bring it to the membership.
If you are wondering why she is acting like that, there is a glass wine. On the no, don't show it.
Why not?
Because it's YouTube.
So what?
You cannot show alcohol. You mad? Congratulations. Now we are demonetized.
But maybe it was non-alcoholic
but
wine.
you won editing this video.
Okay, fine.
And I wanted to say that I would really like to start the Second World War series of Epic History because they have already a couple of episodes.
But you know what they did? I told you what they did.
I know that the one video for the 38 is on members, but I think it's...
like an extra one.
No. I think they're just releasing it on the members first, and after some time they're putting this...
You're probably right. Smart of them.
On the public.
You're probably right.
Because I think the first one I also saw on the members,
Okay,
the first
you're right.
part. So we definitely won't react to the ones that are on members. We don't even have members from Epic History, but
No, but still, we wouldn't do that.
Do that. Yeah,
that's not no.
because so I think there are already like 3 videos out, and I would really like to watch them. So we would watch this on the main channel, right?
Yes, of course.
So maybe we could start already.
Maybe we can start already.
And then when another episode is available for everyone, then we can do reaction.
Okay.
Because I'm really like.
And also thanks for letting us know, because I know there's already new Napoleon video, something on the channel. But everyone told us that we should wait until we finish the Marshals to see it.
So we wait.
But thank you, because we are very excited whenever you let us know that there's something.
Ready to learn about Marshals?
Uh-huh.
Let's go. And someone said, let's skip the intro.
Terror belli, decus pacis.
Oh, you forgot.
Terror in war, ornament in peace. The words inscribed on every French marshal's baton.
I wonder how many of
In
these battles
France, the
survived
title of
until
Marshal
today.
or Maréchal goes back at least to the 13th century. It represents the highest possible position of military authority. Authority symbolized by a marshal's baton.
Baton.
The title was abolished during the French Revolution as incompatible with the egalitarian spirit of the age. But in 1804, Napoleon founded a new empire.
I wonder
and
if they are
restored the
still having
ancient
this rank today in a modern army.
This is
modern
Epic
French
History
army.
TV's
I think so. I
guide
think
to
someone said in the comments
Napoleon's
that they do,
marshals.
but it's like an honorary one.
All
They
26
still
have
have
been
marshals?
ranked according
think
to
so.
our own
Because in
evaluation
Poland
of
we
their
don't
achievements
have
as
marshals anymore.
No, but we have marshals
With
in,
expert guidance from Lieutenant Colonel Remy Porte, former chief
Yeah,
historian
Marshal
of the
Parliament.
French
Yeah.
Army.
Yeah.
So far, we've met Marshals Perignon,
Yes.
Brune, Serrurier, Kellerman, Grouchy, Moncey, Poniatowski, Jourdan, Bernadotte, Augereau, Lefebvre, Mortier, and Marmont.
Make a noise when you see your own country.
Yes.
And we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Only us and French. We like French go like wah wah wah, and then we are the only country in the whole world
that can also go wah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we are brothers, frères.
Yes.
With French.
With the French
people.
Okay. Ami. Yeah.
Frère.
13.
Brothers. I mean,
Frère.
it's frère.
Marshal Saint-Cyr.
No, I am superior to him in attack.
Saint-Cyr
But
was
that's
a
like a
gifted
Yeah.
student
big
who ran
compliment.
away
Big
from a
compliment.
miserable childhood to become an artist.
Son of a butcher.
A passionate Republican, he embraced the French Revolution and later volunteered for military service. Though proud and aloof by nature, his Republican politics and sharp intellect ensured he was elected captain of his company. His skill at drawing enemy positions then got him noticed by General Custine, who gave him a job on his staff. During these turbulent early years of the revolution, Custine was one of several generals who was punished for defeat with a trip to the guillotine.
Oh,
It's a severe punishment.
Saint-Cyr's
the
instinctive grasp of warfare, brilliant planning and tactics won him promotion from volunteer
imagine that it was actually like a trip to guillotine. Like they punished him and they go with him. Everyone is like the whole crowd of people are like throwing tomatoes. They go with him. They're like,
This is the
this
guillotine.
is the guillotine. Now you behave better.
And he can like buy a postcard in a little shop, and then he goes like, "Yeah, I'll behave better." Funny.
I am already pausing, but I wanted to say, if I understand correctly, he was not a military before. And I think it's the first time that someone was not. I mean, they were not all born in military families, but he wasn't military until the revolution,
Yeah.
which I think is the first time. But maybe I'm mistaken, so correct me if I'm wrong. But now I'm thinking, and I was maybe I have a mishmash in my head. But if you are a man, maybe you thought the same at one point in your life. But I think I understand one of the reasons why military service is so attractive to so many men and was attractive to so many men.
Okay.
Because, like, imagine that you are a skilled person, like a smart guy, but you are not rich. And even today, it's very difficult and it takes a long time for you to be noticed. Like if you are working in corporation, for example, you can be very skilled, but it will be years and years until you will be noticed that you are, exemplary.
Yeah.
You can do better than others, because like the structure and the hierarchy and everything will force you to be in the same position. So it's a lot of effort and very often a luck and chance that you will go further up the ladder. But in military, especially in times of conflict and war, it's really you have a lot of chances to
prove yourself.
And also, there is like very often like a vacant position.
Yes.
Yeah, because
and if it's not, then it becomes free quite frequently.
But it's like for someone who is willing to risk, it's like really good thing, because you are a son of a butcher, but you are skilled. You have intellect, you have courage. Then you go to the army, and of course you can be killed, but also there is like a big chance that you will do something great with your life.
Yeah, and you're right, and it's also a wide variety of skills that you can use as long as you are physically able, even if you're not that physically good. But for example, you are, like I say, very intelligent or have a lot of common sense, and you can also prove yourself.
And I think it's even today, it's like a case, like in American army, I think, because they put a lot of effort into the army. So you have like you can operate like equipment worth millions of dollars. You can learn to pilot planes.
True.
Operate complicated machinery. They can really like
you can really prove
push
your worth,
you.
and then indeed, and it's maybe quite fast.
Warfare, brilliant planning and tactics won him promotion from volunteer to general of division in 2 years.
Yeah, you
An
see?
even more remarkable achievement, as he'd had no formal military training.
I was right.
But his cold, analytical approach meant that he was always a respected leader, rather than loved. After 5 years' service with the Army of the Rhine, he was sent to Italy. At the disastrous Battle of Novi, he commanded the French right wing, but skillfully extricated his troops from the debacle. The next year he was back on the Rhine and won a brilliant victory over the Austrians at Bibrach. But a bitter dispute with his commander, General Moreau, encouraged rumours that Saint-Cyr was impossible to work with. Saint-Cyr believed soldiers should not meddle in politics, and did not support Napoleon's seizure of power in 1799. Nor did he show much enthusiasm for Napoleon's decision to crown himself emperor 5 years later. His political views cost him dearly. Saint-Cyr was sidelined for several years, while less able generals were made marshals. In 1805, he commanded French forces in central Italy. But when he was made subordinate to Marshal Massena, a man whom he personally detested, he returned to Paris, even when Napoleon threatened to have him shot for desertion. In 1808, Saint-Cyr was given command of a corps for the invasion of Spain, but his failure to take Girona meant he was relieved of command. Leaving in a fury before his replacement, Marshal Oudinot, had arrived, he was nearly court-martialed again for desertion.
I wonder what he will do next
great,
if Napoleon said that he is the best at defense after already being almost court-martialed twice.
But honestly, like the stories and the stories of the battles were already very interesting. But now just the life of this man, right? It's like it's not the first marshal that is just such a roller coaster.
Yeah, and also he's son of a butcher, and he's like, yeah, that's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. I won't work with him. I'm going home. I'm taking my toys. Goodbye.
Saint-Cyr's military talent, however, was not in doubt. In 1812, he was recalled for the Russia campaign, with command of 6th Bavarian Corps. His role was to support Marshal Oudinot in guarding the northern flank of the French salient. When Wittgenstein's Russians attacked at Polotsk, Oudinot was wounded, and Saint-Cyr took over command, turning probable defeat into a brilliant victory. For this achievement, Napoleon awarded Saint-Cyr his Marshal's baton. But 2 months later, at a second Battle of Polotsk, Saint-Cyr was attacked by a larger Russian army, seriously wounded in the foot and forced to pull back.
Oh.
His injury meant he missed the worst horrors of the Russian retreat. But he contracted typhus early in 1813 and was sick for many months.
He got
Saint-Cyr
better.
returned to the Grande Armée
Typhus was
in
always
August,
deadly.
taking command of 14th
it
Corps
was
and the
done.
defence of Dresden. Incredibly, this was the first and only time that he worked directly alongside the Emperor, and both soon learned new respect for each other's abilities.
Cute.
Saint-Cyr's skilled defence of Dresden set the stage for Napoleon's great victory there later that month.
Okay.
But Saint-Cyr was incredulous when Napoleon later ordered him to remain in Dresden, while other forces concentrated for the decisive Battle of Leipzig, 60 miles to the west. Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig meant that Saint-Cyr and other garrisons in the east were cut off and had to surrender that autumn. Saint-Cyr took no part in the 100 Days, determined to keep out of France's political disputes. Under the restored monarchy, he served as Minister of War and tried but failed to save Marshal Ney from the death penalty. He also struggled to enact military reforms in the face of royalist opposition, eventually resigning in disgust and retiring to his country estate. Marshal Saint-Cyr remains one of the great what-ifs of the Napoleonic Wars, an extremely able commander sidelined for his politics, who might well have proved one of Napoleon's very best marshals.
Yeah,
Very
didn't have many opportunities to
Prove himself.
prove himself, and also very lately he started working with Napoleon. Maybe if they met each other before, then maybe he would be like, other next Murat, like the very close.
Yeah, and then maybe he would not like him becoming the emperor or something. You don't know that. That would be interesting. But it's also the first one that it was mentioned quite clearly that he was sidelined for his politics before we were always making the note to say, Napoleon still makes the marshals even though they oppose him here as well. But it looks like there was also some impact if you were opposing him.
But he had a different approach, because he didn't oppose Napoleon. He was just like, I have this belief that soldiers should not meddle in politics. And he was true to that, He didn't meddle. He didn't want anyone else to meddle. So
yeah, he was not a hypocrite.
So also he's not like a risk to Napoleon that he will start plotting with others, to dethrone him.
That's an interesting perspective.
Because he's like, I'm a soldier. I'm here to do soldier stuff. And he's very, very smart guy, because smart, but you can see that he maneuvered very smoothly all those turbulences in history, Napoleon's comings and goings, coming back the royalty, the monarchy.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, but he then did die at 48, I think, so.
But because of natural causes, right? I mean, not natural.
But disease, yeah. I think disease.
Marshal Oudinot. Nicolas Oudinot
apply ice to the
ran
burn
away
area.
to join the army aged 17. But his father
Oh, wow.
dragged him home 3 years later to help run the family business.
Oh, Jesus.
When the revolution began, he volunteered for the National Guard and was promoted to major. In the wars that followed, he served with the Army of the Rhine, always in the thick of the fighting, rapidly promoted and frequently wounded, a habit for which he became celebrated. In 1799, he was promoted to General of Division and sent to Switzerland to serve as General Massena's new Chief of Staff, a role he performed to perfection. Serving with General Bagoun in Italy, he led a cavalry charge against an Austrian battery at the Battle of Monzembano, sabering gunners and capturing one cannon himself, a feat for which Napoleon awarded him a Sword of Honor. In 1805, the newly crowned Emperor Napoleon gave Oudinot command of an elite grenadier division formed from the tallest, strongest soldiers in the army. In December that year at the Battle of Austerlitz, Oudinot insisted on leading the division in person, despite having been shot in the thigh 2 weeks earlier. His grenadiers were kept in reserve for most of the battle,
In a tie,
but
that's
saw
dangerous.
heavy fighting in the latter stages, as Napoleon completed the destruction of the Allied left wing. At the Siege of Danzig in 1807, General Oudinot's division had the unusual distinction of capturing an enemy warship, a British sloop that had run aground trying to resupply the city.
So he's basically the only French marshal who won with British?
Yeah, I suppose. It might be, yeah.
Also, a quick question. Now I'm thinking about this. Not to you. to people watching us.
That's okay.
When they received some medal, some decoration, some award, was it just the title, just the award, or was there also like some other reward coming with that, like money-wise or something like that, or like a land or something? Because I remember when I was watching this military TV series in Poland called For a Tankman and a Dog, and I asked my mother about this, and I remember that she said to me that the soldiers who received medals also received like land
I don't
for
know,
themselves,
because
and I wonder what was the case.
they always mentioned here in the series when someone was rewarded by being Duke of something or Lord of something, but no, not Lord.
But in Britain.
Yeah, the Duke of something, but here Napoleon was also doing that. But I don't know. They never mentioned that like someone got a castle.
But that's not for everyone. You know, it's not like with every decoration there comes.
And in Poland, you think it was the thing that you got awarded land?
But I don't know if it was always. You know, like maybe it was during the Second World War because we had much less people, so maybe there was more land to be given.
Yeah, there was more land.
But it's interesting. Maybe there was like money coming with the decoration, like with Nobel Prize. You get a medal and money.
A month later, at Friedland, Oudinot and his grenadiers were under Marshal Lannes' command and played a crucial role holding up the Russian army, until Napoleon arrived to deal a decisive blow.
No, don't do that.
During the 1809 war with Austria, Oudinot was wounded once more at the Battle of Aspern.
Poor guy.
When Marshal Lannes died of his wounds, Napoleon chose Oudinot to succeed him as commander of 2nd Corps.
Even though he was currently wounded.
He led his new corps with such success at Wagram 6 weeks later that Napoleon attributed victory to Massena and Oudinot.
Yeah, I think that's why I remember
A week later, he became one of 3 new marshals. One for France, one for the army, one for friendship.
Oh, I remember that. That was offensive.
The army's choice. Fearless and much loved. A man whose courage inspired all around him. He later received an additional reward, the title Duke of Reggio.
We were just talking about it.
In 1812, Marshal Oudinot led 2nd Corps into Russia, but was wounded again at Polotsk.
This guy, how many
handed
times
over
total, I want to
command
know.
to General Saint-Cyr. 10 weeks later, he was back with his corps, marching south to join up with Napoleon's army on its retreat from Moscow.
But what kind of health he had to have to survive all this? Because, it's time that you didn't have penicillin yet, right?
Yeah, I think if I was...
So there is a risk of infection or complications with every wound.
Yeah.
And
you're in pain. It's not like nothing.
And also dealing with the pain and surgeries if you have to have surgeries. Because I think the ITER is not being used yet.
No, I don't think so.
I think ITER is 19th century, but later.
Yep. So I think you do have to survive quite a lot. It's not even called, I didn't call it surgery. It's just taking out the bullet.
Oudinot's men were shocked when they saw their old comrades from the main column. They looked more like fugitives than soldiers of the Grande Armée. Since Oudinot's 2nd Corps was in better shape than most, it formed the vanguard for the desperate crossing of the Berezina River. But the next day, in bitter fighting to hold the bridgehead against the Russians, Oudinot was shot from his saddle. He was carried back to a cottage with a serious gunshot wound, but then he and his party became surrounded by Cossacks. Oudinot asked for his pistols, and from his bed, aiming through an opening opposite, began firing at the Cossacks.
What?
They were rescued by friendly troops, just in time.
It's crazy.
Oudinot was back with the Grande Armée in Germany in 1813. In August, Napoleon ordered him to lead an advance on Berlin. But he was defeated by Bernadotte's Army of the North at Grossbeeren. He then retreated in the wrong direction, causing Napoleon to remark, "It's truly difficult to have less brains than the Duke of Reggio." In Oudinot's defense...
So all those years you're working for the guy, you're winning battle after battle.
Yeah, and then he calls him dumb. Second time. He talked about him twice, and twice he talks him down.
We were shopping today, and I parked on the parking, and Veronica, and I parked in like
this
a very
is not related,
very distinct place. And Veronica went just for a second to the shop, and she goes back, and I'm seeing her coming back. So I'm sitting at the driver's seat. I'm looking at her, and I see that she has this very suspicious looking, like
less suspicious, but more like pensive.
She's like, she's like this. And she's going, looking around. And I thought something happened because she had like the cart. And she basically she went next to our car. Like literally, if I would stick my hand out of the car, I could touch her head. And she went through. She's looking like, she took her phone and she's calling me. And I'm like, yes. I'm here.
Actually, no. I was just calling you, and I turned back with my phone, and then you were looking at me through the window, the front seat of your car, because that's like I just had to turn back, and he was like. But
the moral of the story is, I didn't call Veronica dumb because that's not a reason to call someone dumb just because he missed.
I thought the moral of the story was that it is possible to have less brains than the Duke of Reggio.
I know.
He'd probably been given an impossible task. Insufficient men to take on a strong opponent, bad weather, terrible roads, and he himself unwell, possibly not yet recovered from his ordeal in Russia. Napoleon put Oudinot back where he was most effective, leading troops in combat under his close supervision. At Leipzig, he commanded 2 divisions of the Young Guard, engaged in heavy fighting on the southern front for 2 days. Oudinot continued to serve the Emperor courageously and loyally as a corps commander in the final campaign of 1814. But in April, he was one of several marshals to confront Napoleon with the reality of his position and force his action.
I already know all of this so well from the different mentions in the Marshal series that I already knew what this situation was.
Yeah, the painting,
on this painting.
Yeah. Abdication. When Napoleon returned from exile in 1815, Oudinot refused to break his new oath to the monarchy, but declared neutrality, telling Napoleon, "Since I shall not serve you, sire, I shall serve no one." He continued to hold senior commands under the Bourbons.
So he served Bourbons.
By one estimate, Oudinot was wounded 36 times in his military career, more than any other marshal. Here are just 20 that we found details for.
Can you
A
pause
fellow
when they
officer
finish?
who bathed with him at a spa after the war saw the scars on his body and observed he was little more than a colander. Ironically,
Can you go back so we can see?
Oudinot was also...
You know what it reminds me? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched One Piece.
He was shot in the head too!
Cut. No, there is
Gunshot wound.
Yes.
Saber cut to his neck. Grapeshot wound to his heart. Free saber, to the arm. Gunshot wound to the next to the artery in the thigh. You know what? Like, Napoleon keeps thinking he's God's favorite, but I think this guy is.
Right. But I was talking, if you guys ever watched One Piece, there is this scene at the end of the Marineford, which is like one of the arcs, and there is this character, pirate, called Whitebeard, and at the end, he spoiler alert, he dies, and the narrator mentions that during this battle, he was wounded 100-something times. Remember this? Mm-hmm. He was shot with the cannon, shot with the bullets, cut with swords, stabbed with swords, and this and this and this. But he had no scar on his proud back because he was never running away from enemy. So all his scars were in front of his body. And it's like it's like from some comic or something. Like how can you be wounded so many times?
It's insane.
It's literally insane. It's literally insane, and it's 19th century.
They know for sure about these 20 wounds, and they think there was more, and none of these got infected. Like, how is it possible?
Yeah, like how did
How
they
was he
not
possible
cut
to
off
move?
all his?
Yeah, and how could he move his left arm? On his left arm, he has a gunshot wound. He has 3 saber cuts.
Basically, he's like every year he was wounded.
What the hell?
After the war, saw the scars on his body and observed he was little more than a
I hope
colander.
he didn't die like from
Ironically,
sickness or
Oudinot
something,
was
because that
also
would be
one
like
of the longest-lived marshals, dying aged 80 while serving as governor of Les Invalides.
Natural causes, it says. Well, I don't know that they were natural.
Marshal Victor.
Sorry,
But look at this. Victor was better than one might suppose. What is this? Like passive aggressiveness, gossipy. Like it sounds like something a gossip girl would say, not Napoleon.
he was writing in his like a memoir, like
Yeah.
like a girl has in her
It
teen
really,
years.
it sounds so funny. It sounds so mean.
But about Oudinot, I want to say that if this guy was not wounded so many times, then he probably would live until today.
Yeah.
Like you could just go there and ask him about Napoleonic Wars, and he would be like sitting there, age 220, because you couldn't kill the bastard.
Better than one might suppose. What does that
Claude
mean?
Victor Perrin was an experienced soldier by the time of the French
Son of a
Revolution.
bailiff. Ooh.
A sergeant with 8 years' service in the Grenoble artillery regiment. The Revolutionary Wars brought the opportunity for rapid promotion, and by 1793 he was commanding an infantry battalion at the siege of Toulon. He led a daring
So from
night
the beginning.
assault on British defences alongside the army's artillery chief, a young Major Bonaparte. Both men were wounded, but the attack was a success, and both were quickly promoted to Brigadier General. Victor served under General Bonaparte in Italy and turned out to be a brilliant brigade commander. In 1800, he distinguished himself at the Battle of Marengo, where his command of the left wing won particular praise from Napoleon. But Victor did not hide his disapproval of Napoleon's quest for political power, and as a
Another
result, received relatively minor roles under the new regime. In 1802, he was earmarked to lead an expedition to recover the French territory of Louisiana, but it was called off when Napoleon decided instead to sell Louisiana to the United States. Victor and Marshal Lannes were close friends from their days serving together in Italy. In 1806, Lannes persuaded Napoleon to let him have Victor as his new chief of staff for 5th Corps. Napoleon agreed, and in October, Victor served as Lannes' deputy at the Battle of Jena. Napoleon's earlier misgivings about Victor were now forgotten, and that winter he was given command of the newly formed 10th Corps. But within weeks, he was captured by a Prussian patrol and had to be exchanged for a captured Prussian officer, General von Blücher.
Oh, that's
Pretty good worth.
you remember Blücher?
A little bit, but not in
Oh,
detail.
he
I
was
just
one
remember
of the
his name.
he was
so.
one of the most important enemies of Napoleon. Like he was in many episodes.
Ah, right, yeah, that's why I remember the name, but I just didn't,
So I wonder if this was like a good exchange. If Napoleon later was like,
But
God damn it.
he was better than one might suppose.
His big break came in 1807, stepping in for the wounded Marshal Bernadotte to command 1st Corps at Friedland, where he successfully led a major attack as the Emperor looked on. Promotion to Marshal and the title Duke of Bellumo swiftly followed. In 1808, Marshal Victor and 1st Corps took part in the invasion of Spain, where he'd be posted for the next 3 years. Victor's record in Spain was better than most, but like others, he seemed more interested in personal glory and rewards than in cooperating with fellow commanders. In 1809, at Medellin, he inflicted a crushing defeat on General Cuesta's Spanish army. 4 months later, his bold night attack on the British at Talavera came tantalizingly close to success. He was furious the next day when King Joseph and Marshal Jourdan refused to support fresh attacks and instead ordered a cautious withdrawal. The next year, Victor besieged the Spanish port of Cadiz. It proved a lengthy, futile operation, devoid of glory, and saw his troops defeated by an Allied sortie at the Battle of Barossa. In 1812, Victor was recalled from Spain for the invasion of Russia. His 9th Corps was held in reserve for most of the campaign, though his troops were kept busy defending depots and convoys from Cossack raids.
Quick question. I noticed this before. I mean, it's not something like unnoticeable, but I noticed that those marshals are changing the corps that they are commanding. So, like, he was commanding the 10th Corps, and after that he was commanding like the 8th Corps. And I wonder if you can tell me why was that? Wasn't it better to have like one commander to one corps, one marshal to one corps, so he knows people? And if he was moved to command other corps, did he had like his officers and his staff coming with him? So he had like people that he knew that he could trust also there. And if they were there, then they were commanding people that they didn't know before. You know what I mean? Like,
I saw from what we saw already in this video, I had the impression that like the corps were also, if it was during a specific conflict, not just during like summer organization time, that these corps were also situated at specific places and that they were moved. That was what happened at the beginning of the video, that like he was not good enough in this position, but then he was said, okay, then you go and you do that. Like, they were not like completely fired, but they were demoted to a different thing. And then I suppose people were moved from corps to corps because they were
I don't
worse.
think the regular people were moved from corps to corps.
No. The leaders.
The leaders, yeah, but also like what kind of leaders? Because there are like ladders, of hierarchy. So like if you have you are a regular soldier, then it's good that like sergeant that you have, like the non-commissionary officer and NCO, like the. Not like the one that is with you, in
like
the
your
on the ground
supporter, your secretary, but not a secretary.
So it's good that it's someone who knows his people, Yeah. So at what point you can rotate the people? At what point you cannot?
Very good question.
If you guys know, let me know.
That autumn, his corps attempted to cover the main army's retreat from Moscow. The greatest crisis of the retreat came at the Berezina River. As the remnants of the Grande Armée began crossing over 2 improvised bridges, Victor's 9th Corps was ordered to form the rearguard. Though heavily outnumbered, Victor skillfully handled his French and German troops, holding the Russians at bay as the army made its escape. He then marched his surviving troops over the bridges in good order. A courageous performance in desperate circumstances. In Germany in 1813, Victor commanded 2nd Corps and led the attack in Napoleon's last great victory at Dresden. His corps was in heavy fighting again at Leipzig 2 months later. Victor continued to serve at the Emperor's side in the defense of France in 1814. By now, like many comrades, he must have been close to physical and psychological exhaustion.
Yeah.
Regardless, during the Battle of Montereau, Napoleon let fly at him for failing to get his troops into position and blamed him for the Allies' escape. Victor was relieved of command, but angry and humiliated at what he considered his unfair dismissal, he told the Emperor, "Marshal Victor has not forgotten his old trade. I will shoulder a musket and take my place in the guard." Moved by this response, Napoleon relented and gave Victor command of a corps of young guard. 2 weeks later, he was badly wounded.
Yeah, again, it shows like how much of a nuanced guy Napoleon was. He was not just thoughtless and then just focused on himself as an emperor. He was really really thinking about the people, the men that surrounded him, and he
but that's
respected
also
them.
it shows how important it is to to not be just obedient at all time. Sometimes you need to have the ability to speak for yourself.
Yeah.
At the Battle of Craon, and took no further part in the war. A month later, Napoleon abdicated, and Victor switched his loyalty to the Bourbon monarchy with surprising zeal. He led an investigation into former comrades who'd supported Napoleon during the 100 Days, and was one of only 2 active marshals to vote for the death penalty for Marshal Ney, a decision he later claimed to regret. Victor later served as Minister of War, but retired from public life in 1830, following the overthrow of the Bourbon monarchy.
Yes,
10.
there he is.
Here we go!
Marshal Murat.
Is it like a roast of marshals? like imagine there is like a roast of Napoleon, and you have all those marshals, Comedy Central comes with the cameras, and they are roasting Napoleon, like playfully, and then he comes at the end and he's like,
hey, you know what? Maybe we should do like an extra episode at the end, and like we could take the lines from here, but maybe we can also Google. Maybe there's more, and like just do a rank of the best roasts by Napoleon from his journals. That would be so funny. Maybe we can do that.
Okay,
I'll think about it.
You can do that.
Guys, would you be interested? Then I could do that. That would be funny.
Joachim Murat,
Okay.
the son of an innkeeper, was destined for a career in the church,
Seniority
but
2.
dropped out of college and joined a cavalry regiment instead.
Okay.
To his immense frustration, he saw little action in the early years of the Revolutionary Wars, being stuck with staff and training roles. But in 1795, while stationed in Paris with the 21st Chasseurs, fate intervened. A young general, Napoleon Bonaparte, had been put in charge of the defense of the National Convention. With a mob poised to storm the building, he ordered Captain Murat to bring him cannons, which he did, racing the guns through the city streets, allowing Napoleon to mow down the mob.
He's there
with
from
a
the
famous
beginning.
whiff of grape shot. Napoleon was hailed as the saviour of the government and rewarded with command of the army of Italy. Murat was promoted colonel and went with him as his new aide-de-camp. He soon made a name for himself as a bold and brilliant leader of cavalry, while his 6-foot height, curly locks and love of women ensured fame as France's foremost beau sabreur.
The love of women was not the part I expected. I was thinking he...
But when I saw the photo of him, I was like, yeah, I know why he didn't do a career in church.
Yeah.
It's difficult to keep your vows, I guess, when you're looking like that.
Yeah, that is true.
In 1798, Murat joined Napoleon's expedition to Egypt. At the Battle of Abu Qir, his flanking charge broke the enemy, and Murat personally took the Ottoman commander prisoner, despite being shot in the jaw, a wound which, to his immense relief, did not ruin his looks. Back in Paris, Napoleon launched his coup d'etat to seize political power. When he got a hostile reception from the Council of 500, it was Murat who saved the day, leading troops in to clear the chamber, shouting, "Citizens, you have been dissolved."
I remember that.
Before adding something a bit more coarse. His place at the future emperor's side was further assured when he married Napoleon's youngest sister, Caroline, in 1800.
This traitor bastard. He was even married to the
he
family.
commanded the French cavalry reserve at Marengo and helped Napoleon to win a decisive victory over the Austrians. When Napoleon established his empire in 1804, Murat became a marshal.
Go back.
Second in...
What?
What's with his feet in this painting?
What?
Ah, okay, this is the pom-pom or something on his shoes. I thought he was standing on top of the shoes, and I was like, what is this? Contraption.
Established his empire in 1804, Murat became a marshal, second in seniority only to Berthier. He'd later also received the title Prince of the Empire,
and later
the rank
Flamboyant
of Grand Admiral.
Grand Admiral.
In the 1805 campaign, he commanded Napoleon's cavalry reserve, his excellent reconnaissance and diversions proving crucial in the encirclement of General Mack's Austrian army at Ulm. 3 weeks later, Murat and Marshal Lannes, who normally couldn't stand each other, together bluffed an Austrian commander into surrendering a vital bridge by persuading him that an armistice had been signed when it hadn't. It was a bold stunt, but overall Napoleon was not impressed by Murat.
He should be in one of Fat Electrician's videos.
Yeah, right?
Right? Yeah, like one of those Navy guys or something like that. Like that guy from the, you know which one I mean, that kept doing the stunts, that they kept dressing up as the other army, the opposing side. I don't remember which one it was, but the one that had the whole division. I forgot. I should remind myself, but I forget.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But isn't this like a war crime or something? Like doing this false flag operation?
Maybe now it is, but
it isn't the war crime first time.
There we go.
It was a bold stunt, but overall Napoleon was not impressed by Murat's pursuit of the enemy. "I cannot approve your manner of march. You go on like a stunned fool, taking not the least notice of my orders."
The roast goes
Yet
on.
in battle, Murat remained a brilliant and inspiring leader, as demonstrated at Austerlitz, and the next year at Jena, where he led the decisive charge, wielding only his riding crop. The next year, at Eylau, with the Russians poised to break through his centre, Napoleon ordered Murat to lead a mass cavalry charge straight at the enemy. Murat's men succeeded and saved the army from disaster, though at a terrible price in men and horses. Napoleon had rewarded Murat in 1806 by making him sovereign prince of the Grand Duchy of Berg.
Wasn't enough for him.
In 1808, he sent Murat to Spain to act as his representative. Spain was still a French ally, but
I guess he comes there like, "Oh, señorita, oh."
I think so.
And Napoleon's like, "You know what? You'll do better in Germany."
Hey! Rude.
act as his representative. Spain was still a French ally, but in May, Napoleon's heavy-handed meddling in Spanish affairs triggered a ferocious backlash.
Indeed.
Madrid rose up against the French garrison, and Murat's troops fought back with brutal force, killing around 200, executing 300 more. When Napoleon deposed Spain's Bourbon monarchy, Murat hoped he'd be made the new king of Spain. But that title went to Napoleon's brother, Joseph. Murat instead received the throne of Naples.
You know what?
Oh no, I wanted to be king of this other country. Oh, come on! Come on! How greedy can you be? Before, like, I was on his side because he was only made the duke. But like, what? I don't want to be king of Naples. I want to be king of Spain.
Maybe, but now I have a question about Joseph, because Napoleon made him king. But I wonder, it was mentioned that he was, I think, helping Napoleon during the coup.
Yes, and he had that good line during the coup. You remember?
Yes. But I wonder if he had like any other
successes in the army? Not that we know of, I think.
I think in the army he was not even fighting, but like, did Napoleon actually have a reason to make him a king?
No, he was his brother.
Other than him being his brother.
He was his brother.
Felt like second prize. It wasn't bad going for an innkeeper's son, college dropout, and ex-cavalry trooper.
College dropout. He's looking quite nice.
Napoleon expected Murat to merely represent his interests in Naples.
Okay. I wonder how real it was, because I see the flamboyance, they don't comment on it, but what is this? Look, he's got the tiger skin on his horse.
Yes, and the
tights and the everything. Like, he's really doing many fashion things.
He's like an RPG character when you just add stats,
right?
That add stats to your.
Yes, he looks like he added a lot of charisma.
Napoleon expected Murat to merely represent his interests in Naples, but Murat had other ideas. He reformed the Neapolitan army, equipping it with splendid new uniforms, and turned a blind eye to smuggling which undermined Napoleon's economic war against Britain, the so-called continental system.
That's funny, the uniforms.
Relations between Murat and the Emperor became strained. But when Napoleon began planning to invade Russia in 1812, only Murat would do to lead his cavalry. Their differences were put to one side. Murat took command of 4 cavalry corps and became Napoleon's second-in-command. During the advance into Russia, Murat's cavalry faced a difficult and frustrating task, trying to locate the enemy in a vast landscape. Horses died in their thousands from poor fodder and exhaustion, and they faced a dangerous and wily opponent in Russia's Cossacks. Murat, always riding with the advance guard, was so fearless and conspicuous in his extravagant uniforms that the Cossacks came to admire him, calling out "Ura, Murat" whenever they saw him, and hoped to capture him alive if
playing between each other, like, oh, that's the funny guy, that's the funny guy. Look, you see his hat and he's like in the middle, that's the funny guy. It's so funny. But yeah, look at him. Like, everyone's dying in Russia. Everyone's cold and he has the tiger skin still on. And it's the second depiction of it, so I think it was not the creative vision of the first artist. It really must have been there. So he's lugging this skin of a tiger around Russia.
I think horse appreciates this.
Yeah, probably.
In
At least
Russia.
it's a little bit warmer.
"Ura, Murat" whenever they saw him, and hoped to capture him alive if possible. Murat was among those who tried to persuade Napoleon to halt the advance at Smolensk, but was ignored.
So maybe he was not stupid.
Between the French and Russian armies at Borodino, Murat was at his best, directing a series of attacks on the Russian earthworks, always where the action was hottest, inspiring all with his courage.
The hut.
Murat remained with the army during the retreat from Moscow, though his magnificent cavalry had virtually ceased to exist. One eyewitness noted that throughout the ordeal, he never neglected his appearance. Even at the Berezina he looked splendid, in an open-necked shirt, velvet cloak, a white feather in his cap.
To me, his costume seemed utterly bizarre for such a moment, and in minus 20 degrees. His neck was open, his velvet cape flung negligently over his shoulder, his black velvet cap adorned with white feather. All this gave him the air of a hero in some melodrama.
When Napoleon left the army to return to Paris, he gave command to Marshal Murat. But Murat, now primarily concerned with hanging on to his kingdom, left the army a month later and returned to Naples, where he opened secret negotiations with the coalition. He offered to join the war against Napoleon if the other powers would let him keep his crown. But he received only a lukewarm response. So in 1813, when Napoleon asked Murat to join him in Germany to fight for their thrones together, he answered the call.
Oh, pathetic.
Murat had become increasingly difficult
slimy. So, like, he was not even good enough of a traitor. They didn't even want to take advantage of it. And then he was like, oh, yeah, then I'll do it again. Oh,
I mean, you know what?
slimy.
I mean, you know, maybe not slimy, but also, you know, like, he thinks of his interests.
Yeah, no, and I mean, at this point, Napoleon was already cuckoo, so it was good for him. And he was probably a better person, but still, slimy.
Work with. Oversensitive about his royal status, prone to tantrums, but in battle as fearless as ever. At Dresden, his charge through rain and mud shattered the Austrian left wing and paved the way for victory. But then at Liebert-Volkwitz, he showed his limitations when not under Napoleon's direct command, getting drawn into a major and unnecessary cavalry battle with coalition forces, and twice nearly being captured himself. 2 days later, at the Battle of Leipzig, he led another of history's great cavalry charges, coming close to breaking the enemy centre and even capturing the Allied monarchs. But it was not to be. The Battle of the Nations ended in a disastrous defeat. As Napoleon retreated to the French frontier, Murat informed the Emperor that he was leaving for Naples, promising to raise fresh troops. Murat and Napoleon would never meet again. 3 months later, the King of Naples had cut a deal with the coalition and switched sides. So long as it was possible for me to believe that the Emperor Napoleon was fighting to bring peace and glory to France, I fought loyally at his side, Murat declared. But now, I know that the Emperor's sole desire is war.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Right?
However,
fair enough.
Murat's
I mean, I don't know if
commitment-
it's true. Like, I think it's just like a good political statement, you know, like, it's like a Twitter post, you know. You do damage.
That was too long
You do
for
damage
Twitter.
control. But he is, you know, like, he has a point. It's true.
He has a point, yes.
to the Sixth Coalition was distinctly half-hearted. His army marched against Eugene's forces in northern Italy, but had done no actual fighting before news arrived of Napoleon's abdication. Murat then began to suspect what had been obvious to Napoleon at least. The coalition was not going to honour its promise, and Murat would be next to lose his throne. So, in 1815, encouraged by news of Napoleon's return from exile, Murat marched north against the Austrians, proclaiming a war for Italian freedom and independence. Just 7 weeks later, his campaign ended in defeat at the Battle of Tolentino. With the British and Austrians closing in, Murat became a hunted fugitive. He sailed to France, but Napoleon had not forgiven his betrayal and refused to see him. After Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo, he fled to Corsica, gathered a small band of volunteers and returned to Italy in a hopelessly doomed attempt to start a revolution and reclaim his throne. Chased by a mob and arrested on the beach, Murat was sentenced to death by the restored Bourbon monarchy of Naples.
Oh,
He met his end with his usual courage, telling the firing squad, "If you wish to spare me, aim at the heart," then gave the order to fire himself.
badass.
Not in the face. It's too beautiful. I'm at the heart. I had no idea that he was executed. I saw that he died in 1815, so I was wondering what's going to happen. But it's...
Can you imagine he gave the order to fire himself?
That's like, you know, like something cynical, you know, like fire.
Yeah.
And you're like
I've always admired this, these people who had a really nice life stories, at least the ones that are recorded, that you keep your career ahead and then you manage to do it. It's a pity you don't get to enjoy it, but it's nice. You know what's my favorite?
But there's also... sorry.
Go.
I wanted to say that it's like... I think the power must be really addictive, because you see this desperation in Murat and Napoleon and other characters in history. When you've lost your power, you manage to escape, and you would think that you and me, and I guess most people watching here will be like, okay, I had a good run, but it's over. I saved my life, so I will do something. Especially that often they have like a lot of money, so it's not like they would have to go and work on the field.
Yeah, indeed.
But they have this like burning desire that they need to take back what they had before, even if it's futile.
Yeah.
And Napoleon did the same. Murat did the same.
Yeah, he could have easily sailed. I assume he had enough money. He could have sailed and hidden somewhere. And live a modest life, I suppose.
I think more than modest.
But he wanted to have what
being
he lost.
king for so many years. I think you have ability to gather so much money and put it in
places.
So
Murat is rightly remembered as one of the great battlefield cavalry commanders of history. Inspirational, fearless, with brilliant tactical instinct. But outside of combat, he was, in Napoleon's estimation, a very poor general. He always waged war without maps.
Oh, like you did.
Worse, when the conflict turned against France, he allowed self-interest and vanity to prevail over loyalty to the emperor. As Napoleon's chief of staff, Marshal Berthier, once told him, "You're only a king by the grace of Napoleon and French blood. It's black ingratitude that's blinding you."
Yeah.
Okay.
Saint-Cyr, Oudinot, Victor, Murat.
9 left.
17 down, 9 to go. Join us for part 4 when
We
we'll
will.
continue the countdown. Coming soon.
But even looking at those portraits, you can see that he was a good-looking bastard.
Yeah. The lips, right? And everything.
Yeah, and the hair,
The
and he
hair
was
and-
6 foot. So he was like
6 feet,
my height
Yeah.
in the 200 years ago. So he would, and with the feathers and everything, he really had to
He
stand
really
out.
must have take the whole room whenever he entered.
Yeah, but even in the battle, it's like they mentioned that he was inspiring figure to
Yes.
the troops.
Yes.
And he had to be, like seeing a guy who is king, because he was a king, marching, in the middle of the enemy.
And also dressed like a walking target.
Yes, and yeah. Churchill did the same, I heard. You know Churchill, of course.
I recall Churchill.
And he was fighting in India, I think, before, like when he was younger. And he was from a very well-doing family. He was wealthy, and his father was having a good position. But he wanted to make a name for himself in the army, and he chose to fight on a white horse because he wanted to be seen. And everyone was telling him that it's a suicide because he would be spotted from a mile.
Yeah.
But he said that it's not important. What's important is to be remembered and seen and make a name for himself. And he did.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I hear our little patient outside the door. Should I show our cat?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. You can tell what happened the last. I'll grab her.
I think
Because
they
everyone
know.
knows what you're gonna
We posted about this, but we were actually recording. Was it this episode? No, the one before. Yeah, we were recording the episode before, and we had to stop in the middle because our cat started puking, and it was another time during the same day. We went to the vet, and they said that we have to go to the clinic, to the cat hospital, and she had a surgery. Here she is. Her name is Iskra.
Pull the mic to me, so I can see. She's Iskra, but she's doing well. She doesn't like being held, so I'm not gonna hold her for too long. She likes being cuddled, but she doesn't like being physically restrained.
Yeah, she doesn't like to be on hands.
Yeah, but she's like you can see, she's doing amazing. She's mostly glad to be out of her cat shirt that she had to wear so that she wouldn't lick herself. But she's doing great.
And she has a big scar here in the middle of her stomach.
I can show you the stomach, but if you're sensitive, then look away. But it really isn't anything. But it's just her tummy is like that, so you can see that it's shaved. But the hair is already growing back, and she's already happy. She was really also, to be honest, she was happy the second that she was out of the cat shirt. Because you've probably seen, even if you don't have a cat, you've probably seen these videos like someone puts some tape on the side of the cats or something, and they keep falling
fall over.
Yeah, yeah, because she thinks she's being restricted, so she just kept falling over all the time. But now she's doing okay, and she's healthy again. So thank you for all the good wishes. It was really sweet how you all took interest into how she's doing. So I just wanted to show you that she's she's basically back to healthy.
The surgery was only €2,500, which is like $3,000. So if you want to help us get back on our feet,
yes, please.
You can support our channel by becoming members.
Yeah,
we have the Belisarius series on our members. We have World War I series.
And if you are ever waiting for an occasion to use like the thanks button, that you can give us extra money.
Not us, this kitten.
This kitten.
Ask for money.
Ask for money.
Ask for money.
I'm sorry, I ate some foam and you had to pay 3,000. Yes, 3,000. You expensive bastard.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching with us. Have a great day, and Belisarius is coming very soon. Thank you for watching with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.